Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a good show lined up today. We'll kick it off here in just a second with JC. Then we'll have Edgar Thompson give his thoughts on the game last night. Before we get to that, congratulations to gymnastics. I was watching a little bit of the first, whatever it's called, apparatus. Didn't go so well, and they rallied, and now they will compete for a national title tomorrow. And then softball beats Ole Miss. Baseball in Nashville to take on the Vandy boys in a 3-game set. I want to give a shout out to Johnny Townsend and his foundation for a phenomenal tailgate they put together. I've never seen that many people from the general public and former players from about every era you can think of. It was outstanding. So congratulations to them. Hopefully they raised some money. Let's head to the Titan Omar hotline, and we're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
I am fine. How are you doing this morning? We got a long weekend ahead of us here at QB, so I'm not. Office is closed today, so it looks like a beautiful day to be outside. I think so. I'm doing all right.
Yep. The spring game last night. My general comments. I don't think the game, the atmosphere, the activities around the game could have gone any better. I thought the attendance was outstanding. I just thought everything that they've done up to this to get the student body involved, to just all the little things, it's what Billy Napier's about, I thought was outstanding. I thought it was a very vanilla football game. I thought the quarterbacks played well. Jack Miller played well at times, made some bad throws here and there. Anthony was the thing that impressed me. This is the other thing. I've seen them scrimmage. That would have been the third scrimmage, and I've seen a couple other practices. That was clearly the best the football team has looked, which is a good sign, right? You want to get better as the season progresses. So I think that's a bright spot. I still have serious concerns, as I did last year, about our front seven on defense. But I love Montrell Johnson, the tailback. I've been talking about him on my show for the last 3 weeks. I think people got to see how he's such a good runner of the football. He didn't break off any long runs, but his vision in the hole is outstanding. But all in all, I thought it was a good spring game, the best, for a first under Billy Napier. And that's about it. So what do you think, JC?
Well, I got to, full disclosure, I didn't watch it, but what I read on Twitter and what I saw on Twitter recounts a pretty good evening, as you summed up pretty well there, QB. And 34 points, getting in the end zone, making people scream and cheer, and doing things in front of recruits is always a good night, right? I mean, the time was spent well, obviously, and I'm with you there on the defense, but over the summer, they'll clean up some things, and then in the fall, I think things will start to come along, and I guess we've got a true vision of who the starting quarterback is going to be. We already know that, but that was kind of solidified, I would guess, with what Billy Napier wants to do. So, a lot of questions about, the quarterback position and defense and so forth. And I think some of that was answered, but really, I think it was just, like you said, a fun evening. and vanilla is a good way of describing it, because certainly you're not going to do a whole lot. As you said, there was no blitzing defensively, and they'll clean up the defensive side of the ball. But if we can get some people in the end zone, I think people will get really pumped up about it, and that's the whole thing. I mean, the image of that Florida State game last year will quickly disappear as we go forward now with new players, new coaches, a new outlook on life, basically. And scoring points is the way you can get the fan base going. And if you win games and shootouts in the fall, then you win games and shootouts. I mean, whatever it takes, right? So hopefully that'll be the case.
Yeah, I mean, every game is going to be different, and obviously, again, it was a very vanilla game. I bet they didn't calling the game and just seeing it from up top. I bet there wasn't about 10 to 12 different plays called the entire game. So it was dumbed down to a small package. But I thought the quarterbacks threw the ball well. I thought the running backs ran well. I think we had one negative play the entire game. And that was just a misassignment by the right guard and right tackle. I can't remember who they were. They had a miscommunication, and the defensive end hit the running back in the backfield and he fumbled. Other than that, I thought it was very clean. But we did get pushed around up front, and that's a serious concern for me. We got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Melon Law. It comes from John. He says, QB, I know you were working the game last night, but the head ball coach and Doring were taking shots at Mullen. Furry said, Coach Napier will hold these boys accountable. Doring said the Gator Nation has to be pumped to have a coach that loves recruiting and not going on vacations. Let me tell you something. This dude, I'm anxious to see because he's getting ready. They're going to evaluate the film. They're going to sit down and give you your pros and cons, what you need to do, what you need to work at. But he's having exit meetings, okay? You know what exit meetings mean, JC, right?
That means you're about to leave.
Well, it's the end of the spring, and he has all these different phases. But he's going to be honest with these guys, and he is looking in the portal. He is. We will sign. I bet we sign at least 10 kids out of the portal. Is my guess. That may be a lot high, but I guarantee it's going to be over 5. So I'm anxious to see which guys, in a good way, he says, you know what, you may need to go to the portal. Charlie asked here, hey, Shane, when they introduced the new basketball coaches as honorary captains for the night, I had to wonder, is this the first time in UF history that we've had a new head coaches in football and both basketball programs? Great night in the swamp. Yeah, I had some media guy on there. I want to say it is the first time we've had in our 2 major sports a brand new coach. I was scared to death, JC, during calling the game with Lee and Mick. Billy stands behind, just how Saban does for their spring game. He stands about 10 yards behind the quarterback. But he would have Kelly Ray and he had Todd Golden back there. Then he'd have the young lady that was a sideline reporter doing it on SEC Network Plus. But literally, they were only about 8 yards deep. And all I could think about was a bad snap or a defensive guy or a fumble, a scoop and score, and just Kelly Ray and Todd Golden getting clobbered. That's all I could think about the whole game.
Well, that is a new one. I've not heard about. I've not heard of a women's basketball coach or a men's basketball coach standing there with a football coach at the spring game. But bring them on. It's a big family, right? I mean, everybody's together, and hopefully, you would think that they're going to be careful about things, and nothing happens. So that's good. Now, QB, tell me this: the orange team, they were in all orange. Is that right?
Yeah, so I thought it was outstanding the way they did it, JC.
You like that?
They had the orange team, orange jerseys, orange pants. The blue team was blue jerseys, blue pants. The quarterbacks were all white, and a couple of specialists. Here's what's interesting, because Jaden Hill, who's a projected starting corner, he's coming off an injury, so he was in all white, but he played the whole game. The funniest thing, and I couldn't help myself, but I had to say it every time so late in the game, this was when Anthony was still in the game for some reason, like with 2 minutes to go. They had this walk-on running back, and I apologize, I don't know his name. He's number 38, all white. So they were he was playing tailback. Well, he can't be hit, so they're not going to hand him the ball.
Right.
But what's crazy is Anthony tried to throw him a pass, and he can't be tackled. Yeah. So anyway, it was. I thought just the way they did everything was just first class. This dude is the right guy. I have no doubt about it. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law, how much attrition do you expect to see? Buddy and Fran said during halftime to expect to see 12 or 15 guys leave. It won't surprise me. I would not be surprised if the other 2 scholarship quarterbacks, Kitna, who had about 3 plays in the game, and Del Rio Wilson, who had about 4 plays in the game, It wouldn't shock me if they go into the portal. I don't see either one of them ever playing here. And then there'll be some other positions, but we will sign some players. And Joseph says here on Facebook Live, Anthony is hands down better than Jack Miller. No QB controversy in Gainesville. That probably is the case. I thought Jack made some good throws. I thought Jack was a little hesitant. Now, granted, he was going with the 2 offense. He didn't get his receivers didn't get a whole lot of separation, and that's the one thing that still concerns me. Now, there were no explosive plays in this game, JC, just so you know. I think the longest play was about a 20-yarder. But we got jammed a lot at the line of scrimmage when we did try to throw deep balls. So a lot of work to be done there. So we'll see. But as I said, I think it was a phenomenal night for the Gators in year 1. And Chris says Miller has 4 years of eligibility. Miller knows he is the guy when AR moves on in a year or so. Yeah. Look, here's the thing. We have way more problems on this football team, and problems is not the right way to say it. Issues, holes to fill, however you want to phrase it, than quarterback. And they're going to go out and get the best available players. Chris says Waits, number 75, is a large human being. Yes, he's a transfer from Louisiana, and he is one of the biggest human beings I've ever stood next to. Enormous. So anyway, they have what?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. Finish your thought there.
No. I was just going to say we're talking spring game, taking your texts and your comments. Get your thoughts on that. We'll be joined by Edgar Thompson, who was up in the press box, get his thoughts as well. But I thought it was a good night. We had a few penalties, not many. Oh, there's the thing I wanted to address real quick. Yeah. I'll address this in just a second. Camp says here on Facebook Live, if the 2 QBs, Del Rio and Kitna, go into the portal, what would we do about a backup moving forward? Well, you have 2 scholarship guys in Richardson and Jack Miller, but you also have, I think his name's Max Brown, who will be here in this recruiting class, will be here in July. Again, we got bigger fish to fry than worrying about the quarterback depth chart. So I wanted to talk about, Tracy, you didn't know this. So I'm doing the broadcast, and, we have TV monitors in there. Yeah. I can't remember if we scored a touchdown or we got a turnover. The camera goes to the guys on the sideline. They got this chain link, a big chain around their necks. Oh. And I brought it up on the broadcast. Anyway, I get home and I'm listening to Billy's press conference, and one of the reporters asked him about the turnover chain or touchdown chain or whatever. Billy goes, "Do what? That ain't happening around here. They didn't run that by me." So there's going to be some dudes in their exit meeting, or they ain't going to be real happy. So I was shocked to see that. And obviously these kids did it on their own. But Billy said, they ain't happening around here. So I like to see that.
He's not the University of Miami, right? QB, you talk about the transfer portal. There's probably 900 to 1,000 players out there in that portal, and certainly you would hope or think that somebody out there could come and help your team. So I'm with you. I think he's going to get a couple of those guys for sure.
Yeah, Greg says Miller's interception in the end zone was bad. He had Bowman wide open in the flat. Yeah, it wasn't a good throw. He made some good throws, though. Chris asked, where did 94 Tyreek Stapp come from? I don't think he played last year. I don't have the roster in front of me. John says on Facebook Live, I like the easy throws of the tight end. Some of that could have been the vanilla defense they were seeing. Yes, I'll address those. We hit the tight end out in the flat on a split zone, naked bootleg type play. It's a big play where, say, the tight end lines up in the left wing. You run a zone blocking scheme, and the tight end whams across the line of scrimmage, and on a run play, he will kick out that defensive end. Well, he bluffs the defensive end and hits the flat, and we rolled out there. We hit Noah Keeter, who's a converted defensive end who had a great game. We hit the tight end there a bunch on that play. Easy throw, good scheme, good design. We did that a lot last year. We did that a lot with Kyle Pitts when he was here as well. It's a regular old ball play these days. Everybody's responding here. Thank goodness no change in Gainesville. Yeah, that was crazy. So,
QB, how How many fans? What did we set the over/under at the other day on the attendance?
It went over my total. I said 30. They announced 45,000. I don't know if that 45,000, but it was a lot of people there. The band, they moved the band back to where it was when I played, down in the south end zone, right there, right by the tunnel.
Yep.
And it was right across from the radio booth. Obviously, it was loud as heck.
Yeah.
But it looked like the band was twice the size the band normally is on Saturdays. But the band was there. They had student body out there doing a tunnel for the orange team and the blue team, and they ran out fireworks. I mean, they did it all. And it was great to see. It was a very good production. Good production on the UA's part. Kyle tells me here Tyreek Sapp came from St. Thomas Aquinas. So Chris says there was about 25 to 30,000. There's no way there was 45,000, but it was a great turnout.
Well,
Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. Speaking with JC on the Titan MR hotline, we'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel get his thoughts from the press conference after the game. Also, I was referring to Johnny Townsend, his phenomenal tailgate. Saw a lot of loyal listeners, JC, of the program.
Who did you see, QB? Tell me who you saw. Anybody who?
Well, you're not going to know any of them. They're all from out of town guys that listen to the show and chime in on Facebook Live.
Awesome.
Like Andy from Chicago. Andy from Chicago was there with his wife. There were tons of people there.
Awesome.
So, and Andy brings up a great comment here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. He says our redshirt freshman kicker drilled a 52-yarder and a 48-yarder, and he did. He not, here's how the game started, JC. The orange team took the opening kickoff. Jack Miller drove them all the way down there. They bogged down, and we missed like a 32-yard field goal.
Okay.
The blue team, I think, drove down and scored on an RPO. Anthony hit Weston on a little slant in the slot, but it was horrible tackling by Will Coxon, the safety. Didn't even wrap up, just tried to bang him, and he just bounced off of him. Orange team drives back down there, and Miller throws an interception from about the 15-yard line. So the orange team moved the ball, and that's what Coach Napier said in his press conference. It's a great teaching lesson because this is how we're going to play football. If we protect the football and don't make silly penalties and silly mistakes like the blue team did tonight, we'll be okay. But if we play like the orange team and go down and turn the ball over and miss field goals and have penalties, it'll be a long year. So anyway, it was a good night. And, we have Trace Mack is the kicker coming in that will probably be our kicker next year. So anyway, I want to give a shout out to Trinity Thomas and these girls from gymnastics. I don't know if you saw that, JC, but I was eating in the little pregame meal they have for the media guys up there, and they had it on the TV. And I know nothing about gymnastics, but in the first rotation or whatever, I guess we fell off I don't know if we were on the balance beam or whatever. We didn't do well the first rotation. And then I had to go into the box, and next thing I know is they're moving on to compete for the national title tomorrow night.
Yeah, Trinity Thompson, she's great, and Thomas. And we said, didn't we just predict last week that they were going to win this thing again?
Well, they're number 2 in America. I think Oklahoma's number 1. But they're supposed to be in the hunt for this.
Absolutely.
JC, here's the thing that surprised me the most about last night, and Asa mentions it here on Facebook Live. Watching an orange and blue game with live kickoffs and punts. Refreshing. They had live special teams.
I mean,
I've never seen that in the spring. I've never seen that in the spring game anywhere.
Yeah. Well, he did a lot of different things, right? And I think people were very pleased with that. And, if you gave him a grade, you'd have to give him an A. I mean, everybody's coming up optimistic about things. So, I mean, what more can you ask for? You had recruits there. That's the thing. How many recruits? I heard somebody say, and I don't know if this is accurate, somebody said there was over 60 recruits there last night. Is that right?
Easily. I've never seen so many kids and family members in the south end zone.
Right.
Look, they have a whole staff that's in charge of that stuff. Like they have a whole staff in charge of the transfer portal, and they'll be looking at that today. Cliff says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, you, Mick, and Lee had me laughing talking about the HBC's comments on Furman and Akron and the Brady Ackerman story. Yeah, in these spring games, you have to start talking about stories because it's
slow.
It can be boring at times.
Yeah.
They say here there were over 300 recruits at the game.
Oh, geez. Okay, I did not hear that.
Like I told you, I've never seen so many, and it was crazy how many they had. We got a text here on the Titan MR text line. Comes from Daryl. It says, "Good morning, guys. Shannon, I watched some of the game last night with my grandson, but he had a baseball game, so I didn't watch a lot. But is it true that we're trying to get Desmond Watson weight down to 415? I don't know what he's listed right now. He looks like he's lost some weight. I think we need to, I know somebody told me, I want to say it was a defensive tackle that was there on a visit or unofficial visit from Maryland. It's in the transfer portal. We need front seven help on the defensive side of the ball bad. Yeah. Very, very bad. So we'll see. But, I'm sure they're trying to get his weight down. I don't think he's a starting. He's probably going to have to start because we don't have anybody else. So we'll see. What else is going on, JC? What did you do since you didn't watch the game? Did you watch baseball last night?
I watched some of that gymnastics, and I did see. I saw that. Once again, they're in the running. You have to get through that first session, and they did. And so I'm just really interested to see if they can rack up another national title. I mean, they're becoming a gymnastics dynasty here. And so I watched that, and then I did watch some, I had a late dinner last night, played some golf yesterday in the afternoon late, and some tennis. So, I mean, I'm just all over the map here, QB, trying to keep it all together. But, QB, I noticed, let me just change the topic for a second, staying with football. That kid that we talked about from California going to Tennessee, and some ridiculous $8 million that he's going to collect by going to Tennessee. But you realize that Tennessee is holding, or whoever's paying that, is holding him to the terms of a contract, and that if he were to leave Tennessee, then he would have to give that money back. And I thought about it, and I said to myself, that's not NIL. That's called pay for play right there. So
yeah, that's what Saban. If that's what I've been yelling about and screaming about, and people want to go, you're just jealous because you didn't get paid. No, it's the premise of the entire name, image, and likeness, which was based off of signing autographs, getting a percentage of jersey sales of your name, image, and likeness. It's not buying football players. And that's what it's got to. And that's what I have a problem with. I have no problem with player X going to the mall and getting paid $10,000 to sign autographs or take pictures. I have no problem with restaurant X putting this dude's face on a billboard and paying him and allowing him to eat free and bring his whatever it is. But for them just to flat out say, we're going to give you $5 million to come play football, it's ludicrous.
Well, that's what's happened. That's what this deal is with this kid from California to go to Tennessee. I mean, he's under contract, literally. And that is a pay for play. So if that's the way it's going to be, then maybe they ought to start forming scholarships under the terms of contracts, because that seems to be what people are going to want to do, right? And I'm with you. I think there's got to be some sort of thinking and some thought process over how this is going to be enforced. Are we talking about a salary cap now? We got to create some parameters and proliferate this as an athletic scholarship or something. I mean, Billy Napier, and here's the other thing, Kimmy, what's Florida got? 800 people on their football staff, and they're going to ask fans and so forth to pay for all of that through booster donations and season ticket sales and so forth. But what's happening to the $40 million? What are they doing with all that money that's coming from the television? And I think when we can figure out a way to handle all of this money, because it's so much, and how these kids are going to be compensated in one way or the other, then are we going to use contracts now for scholarships? Is that what it's gotten to?
But JC, but the money we get from the conference, which at 50, 70, 80 million, whatever it is, that goes to the athletic department. That has nothing to take, like the Gator Collective, which is our collective, and every school has one now.
Right.
They are not associated with the University of Florida Athletic Association.
No,
whatever is done with that money is their just choice. So, but the whole thing comes down to is, I mean, it's going to happen. So let's just say the Tennessee kid goes there, and let's say he ends up playing as a freshman for Tennessee, and let's say he plays decent. Okay, I've used this analogy 100 times. He's from the state of California. There's a Hollywood screenwriter that's a USC Trojan or a UCLA booster, okay? And he could say, you know what? We're going to give you $10 million to come play quarterback for us. What's he going to do? He's going to pack his bags in Knoxville and head back home. And that is not right. That is not right. And if anybody sits here and tells me, you know, it's no different than a coach who gets, you know, leaves for a better job, I get that point. But you can't do this with the athlete, in my opinion.
Well, this is why contracts are coming up. You know, if he leaves Tennessee and he goes to Southern Cal, in the contract, would there be a non-compete provision in that? Would there be the idea that if he leaves, he has to pay it back? And the answer is yes. So it's not like he can take money from one place and leverage it against another if there's a contract involved. It's just like in business everywhere. And that's what I think we're seeing. And you talk about 25 scholarships or something. Hell, BYU is paying the walk-ons right now. They can have 150 players on the sideline if they want to. So, I mean, so this is what I'm talking about, is that there's got to be some conversation about how to get this under control. But
weren't you for this a couple of weeks ago when I was arguing about it?
No. I am for name, image, and likeness. Okay, but I do agree to a certain extent that you're starting to get, pay for play going on now. And pay for play means you're going to have to use contracts to keep this from getting too willy-nilly. And I don't, and I think this Tennessee example is a pretty good example that basically they're saying to this kid, okay, here's your money, but if you come and you leave, you got to pay it back. And if you come and then you leave and get money from somewhere else, we're going to sue you, or something to that effect is what it's getting down to now. And we're asking kids to learn a lot in college about the real world before they're even graduating from college. So there has to be some parameters created. And I think that will happen because I think, every league has a salary cap just about. Baseball has, I know, a luxury tax and so forth, but they negotiated something in the recent collective bargaining agreement that is somewhat similar to and getting close to what is called a salary cap. And every professional league, the NFL especially, has a salary cap. So we have to figure out a way to cap or get this under control and then let it go as it goes. But, I don't think fans should have to pay. Look, these TV contracts are paying so much money. Why are boosters? Why can't we get, you say it goes to the overall athletic department. It can go wherever it wants to go. That's what the schools decide. They don't have to do something.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the schools can't be involved with deals through NIL.
Well, not now. No, not now. They can't. But that's the thing, isn't it? So many things are changing and there's so many moving parts is that you say something can't happen today, but it will happen tomorrow. And that's
the way it's working is if we're going to compete, what A&M and those guys are doing, basically how it works is whoever has all the money, basically the coach says, okay, player X out of Tampa, Florida, we really want him. Then the people with the money and want to work the deals out, go deal with that. But the school is not involved with it. I got to get some Facebook Lives real quick. Camp says, I did not see a lot of the game because I got home late. I wanted to ask if we threw the ball downfield any, and if so, how well did we do? I've heard there were quite a few slants on. We did not have we took some shots down the field. Jack Miller did a couple of back shoulder throws to Jaquavion Frazier's. Anthony hit a seam route to Xander's for about 20. But nothing deep. No, and like I told you, it was a very vanilla. There was no blitzing. It was very soft coverage. Anyway, Chris asked, it isn't permitted for other teams to contact athletes on scholarship on another team. The NIL deal people should also not be able to talk to scholarship. Well, that's happening. That's happening right now. There are people, even if they're under scholarship at Georgia or Alabama, there are people talking to those players.
It's tampering. There's tampering going on.
Asa says USC is giving the transfer QB from OU $1 million a year from the Southern California Lexus Company, 9 locations in San Diego and LA.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well. Yeah, but hey, on the field, I do have some news. I saw where, and I think this is good, and it's going to lead to things that fans want, and that is games that are more competitive and not used as subsidies for other schools. And that is Pittsburgh and West Virginia decided, of course, this year to restart their rivalry. And after 2025, they're going to take a small break and then bring it back in 2029, 2032. And these are good non-conference opponents that are appearing now on teams' schedules. And we're seeing a lot more of that. I think that's something positive that fans can look forward to. I mean, West Virginia, I think, had Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech on their non-conference schedule last year, and that's good. That's a good thing. Better non-conference games are important. This year, you're going to see a lot of good non-conference games. Alabama's playing at Texas this year. You've got a lot of good non-conference games. So I think we're going toward that direction as well, and that's a good thing, I think.
All right. Good stuff at JC. Have a good weekend. Happy Easter, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Same thing.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take a quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by Edgar Thompson of the Orlando Sentinel. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. At South State Bank, we understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for member FDIC. Going to head to the Titan MR Hotline right now. We're going to be joined by Orlando Sentinel's beat writer for the Florida Gators, Edgar Thompson, a good friend of the program. Good morning, Edgar. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Shane. Thanks for having me, as always. Doing fine.
Absolutely. I want to get your thoughts, a media boy who watched the game last night, and I just love Coach Napier's press conferences. I think he does a tremendous job. But just an overall view of everything that happened, you know, the pregame festivities, just how it was all set up. I don't think it could have gone any better, Edgar. I thought it was outstanding.
Well, yeah, if I may play off your initial point on Billy, after his press conference on Saturday, I tweeted something just about, you know, you got to listen closely, if not read over his words again, to really like fully get like his message sometimes, because he's so thoughtful and in depth, and if not profound even, right? I really like the way he speaks and breaks things down in such a detailed fashion. So I agree with you. I do like what he's saying. Yeah, I thought the move to Thursday night, I mean, it was a home run. You know, they had perfect weather for one. I tweeted that was the nicest spring game weather I can remember. I've done 15 of these things, and usually it's kind of muggy and hot, right? So
Yeah.
Gainesville's been blessed with some nice weather, I got to say, but he was lucked out last night. It was perfect. And the crowd was good for a spring game. Scott Strickland was talking to a few of us before the game. And I said, what do you think? 30? He goes, yeah. And then he's like, but you know, we still have 11 minutes for kickoff. And it got probably up to about 40. They announced 45. I mean, I don't know. But whatever it was better than I thought it was going to be. Billy even said it was better than he thought it was going to be, right? And then they had 317 recruits, according to Pat Cooley, who came to the game. Someone told him that, but we knew it was more than 300. And there were several 5-stars and some really good talent there. And if you didn't do that on Thursday, those guys were going to be in Tuscaloosa or Athens potentially this weekend for their spring games, Alabama and Georgia, of course. So he made a lot of good moves there, man. And then he put Anthony Richardson in good positions to shine. Because I thought the first two drives, he looked really sharp.
Yeah, I agree. I said earlier before you came on, Edgar, I thought out of the 3 scrimmages and counting last night and the couple of the practices I've been to, I thought overall that was the best. The quarterbacks have looked, the best receiver, best, but just the entire team. It was night and day compared to the scrimmage I saw last Saturday. Now, granted, that could be
the one Billy was telling us about. It sounded brutal.
Yeah. It could be us getting better. It could be, look, we're going to dumb things down. There's not going to be any blitzing. We're going to keep it very simple. But overall, it's an A+. We have a question here, and for you, Edgar, on the Titan MR hotline. It comes from Greg. He says, any injuries from the spring game?
He did mention Lingard with a hamstring. I started to tweet it, and then I'm like, I don't know how severe it is. He did say he was nursing a hammy, and I think that he's actually had a pretty decent spring by all accounts. We just don't get to see enough, but the word is, I mean, you know more than I, that he's looked pretty good, looked better at least, because he's been kind of a mystery. So is Bowman, right? I mean, it's kind of perplexing how these two like 5-star studs have not even been able to get on the field. But he and then Dexter did leave the game, and they worked on his right leg at one point. You probably saw that in the first half, but he came back and seemed fine. So I don't think anything beyond that. Jalen Kimber did play. I mean, he had an interception. He had a pass breakup in the first series. He made the first tackle of the game, and he's coming off basically a repaired shoulder for a torn labrum. So that's encouraging, because I think that he's a guy who's going to be in the rotation at cornerback, the Georgia transfer.
Yeah, John says Bernie got hurt right there at the end, which he did. He said it looked like his wrist or forearm or something. And you know, I was watching that from up in the booth. He got hurt on the visitor sideline over there, about close to the bottom of the numbers. Coach Napier was down, I think, talking to the young lady that was doing the SEC Network Plus, kind of over by where the recruits kind of down that way and the former players were standing. And the dude jogged all the way across the field to go see how he was. A lot of coaches don't do that. It just goes to show you that he is a player's coach. Chris says here, Bowman ran the ball well. At times he did. He fumbled a couple of times, which to me, I don't think it's even, I think clearly the best running back is Montreal Johnson.
Yes.
He popped for sure. And what's amazing is if you watch, and again, they dumbed things down. It was very vanilla, but majority we ran the zone play between the tackles the entire night. You didn't see a whole lot of balls bounce outside or called outside runs. And I thought we got good push. Speaking of that, Edgar, last year when I saw scrimmages, my concern was the front seven for the Florida Gators on defense. I still have concerns about the front seven going into this fall. I heard they had, I want to say, a big big dude from Maryland on campus yesterday in the transfer portal. In my opinion, we've got to go find some front seven guys in the portal.
Yeah, I think Billy thinks that too. I mean, they've made it pretty clear that beyond Gervon Dexter, they're not sure who's there. I mean, how many guys do you need to be able to rotate? I was just on Bianchi's show. I said 4. I mean, Georgia probably was able to rotate 5 interior guys. That's how you win, man. I mean, you wear down teams. And, right? I mean, Jordan Davis played 25 snaps. Guy's a world beater. He'd have to play like 50 here. So Dexter, I know Dexter hasn't emerged as quickly. We've talked about him. We both kind of think that, but he does look better. And physically, for sure, he's in much better shape and moving better. So we'll see. But he's like all the experience wise. And yeah, I don't know what they have in there. But, you know, Ventrell Miller being back is going to help some, don't you think? I do.
There's no question. I think Ventrell's a good player, but in order for your Mike linebacker, middle linebacker,
hey, they got to keep guys off.
Football, you got to keep them off them. And if the D-line doesn't do their job, they're going to block Ventrell Miller all day long. So it's a big concern for me. And I mean, if I can see it, our coaches can see it. So we'll see what they do here. In the next, we got to make moves. It's so funny saying that in college football. We got to get into the talent acquisition period very quickly here because May 1st is when? In a week and 2 weeks?
I mean, yeah, it's 2 weeks. It's 15 days.
But they have to sign those kids in order for that kid to be eligible to play unless he gets some type of waiver, I guess. We got a Facebook Live here from Chris, brought to you by Mellon. Says Jaden Hill fumbled the kickoff. I thought, no, the opening kickoff was fumbled by Bowman, right?
Yes.
And what's funny is Coach Napier's like, doesn't matter. Orange's ball going this way. He kept telling the officials, it's not a fumble. We're going to give it to the Orange team. Okay, so John asked here, Edgar, what is phase 4 for Billy Napier called? Do you know that?
Ooh. That's a good question. I don't have all the phases down, but I can Google it. I mean, John could too. No, I'm kidding. I appreciate the questions. I should know that, but I tell you, you just kind of ruined my day because I was sitting here going, you know, this is like not a finish line for me. It goes foundation, identity, spring practice, discretionary period, summer regimen, training camp, in season, postseason. Discretionary period. I don't know what that means, but you know, I'll tell you what it is. And talking to them last night, what I felt I'm going to write today after we're finished here is Anthony Richardson needs to go from becoming a better quarterback to a better teammate. And I don't mean that that he's a bad teammate, but that he needs to become a leader. He even said it last night. I need to start hanging out with the guys more. I need to win their trust. You know, I think he realizes, or he's been told, that he needs to, you know, mature, which is, you know, he's 19. He turns 20 next month. So, you know, it makes sense he needs to mature. But if he's going to lead this team and set the example, he clearly is their best weapon. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, he's their best weapon.
No, you're right. You're right. And
so he's gotta, you know, he's got to get better everywhere. He said it. I'm going to dig in on the defenses, the playbook. I'm going to become a better leader, all this stuff. So whatever phase it is, to me, it's Anthony Richardson. That's the key. He's got to continue to build on last night, this spring, have a great off season, hit the ground running in August, and you know, be a transcendent player, man. Be that player that we saw, and I get it. It was USF, it was FAU. They're not SEC teams, but man, he had some explosive plays in those games. I don't care who he was going against, where you're like, whoa, right? And then LSU. I mean, you saw glimpses of a dominant player. He's got to be that guy, like week in and week out, for this team to be good.
Yeah, I agree. And, the thing that impressed me last night, like I told you, I've seen Anthony look okay in practices, look bad in practices, not great in scrimmages, but I thought he was phenomenal last night. And I think it goes to the plan they put into place, whether it was a very small plan, a vanilla plan, whatever. He knew where to go with the football, and that's crucial. And I just think Billy Napier and his staff all on offense have done a good job with him. Because he's going to have help. And Coach Napier will tell you this, for quarterbacks to be successful, you got to have players around you. And we caught the ball well last night. We didn't get great separation at times, but time will tell. Yeah, but, he's the key. But, again, my biggest concern going forward is defensive front seven at this point.
By the way, I didn't finish my thought. You ruining my day. Because John's
how'd I ruin your day?
I'm kidding, but this is kind of we get to the spring game and it's like, oh, good, I can exhale. Because this starts with SEC Media Days for me and all of us really, and it just doesn't stop. And I mean, I throw Daytona 500 for a week and Bay Hill and TPC and all that in the mix too, as we've discussed on the show a couple of times. I do other stuff. And then you have basketball. Plus, they changed coaches, right? Oh, and you had a women's basketball scandal. Oh, and you had this. I mean, it just went on. It was a year, right? So you get to this point, you're like, okay, cool. Now I can do a story on I got this tennis pro idea. I'm going to do something on the Sheltons, right? The 3 Sheltons in the program. I think it's kind of cool. There's some other stories. Anyway. Well, actually, no, I'm going to be chasing who's 20 signings. I mean, Napier's going to sign a dozen people, man. And it's going to be hard to keep up with. And they're just going to be streaming out right and left. And that's fine. I'm just kind of joking. But I kind of forgot that he's about to redo the entire roster.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because we've never seen anything like this. And I don't think people realize that with these exit meetings, he's going to tell some of these guys, he's going to be honest with them that, look, you can stay here, but you may not play. You may need to go into the portal. And I've said all along, the portal is good for the player and it's good for the coach because the coach, it's a way he can cut a kid to open up another scholarship that he feels like he can bring somebody in to help his program. So it'll be interesting for sure. But you're right. I haven't thought about that from you media boys' perspective that usually once spring football is over, you kind of didn't have to really worry about writing stuff about football, but it's going to be nonstop now, I think, here in Gainesville for sure.
It's fine. I mean, look, it's the job. I can't complain. I mean, it beats working for a living. But I will say that it is going to be kind of crazy. And hey, it's a more honest process, man. Just the way you described it, Shane. It isn't and I'm not, guys, I remember when guys would transfer and then you'd hear a story from the coach and, oh man, it's just we wanted him here, but he just saw a better opportunity. It's all this. It's come on, man. No, you wanted, he wasn't fitting in. You wanted the scholarship. It's fine. It didn't work out. Right. So now they can say, hey, it's not working out. Go hit the portal and we're going to find someone better. And it's just a, above board process now that wasn't before.
We're speaking with our man, Edgar Thompson, here on the Titan MR hotline. Edgar, my favorite part of the entire press conference last night, I don't know if it was you or Nick or somebody asked about the turnover change. And I was, up in the radio booth, they have the TV monitors. And I can't remember if it was an interception that came first or a touchdown. And they had this big chain link around this kid's head. And I said, well, I guess we got turnover change now. And Mick and Lee looked at the monitor. And then y'all brought it up in the presser. Billy had no idea about it.
No, what was his quote? I'm digging it up. Nobody ran
that. Ain't happening around here.
Nobody ran that by me. That won't be happening.
Yeah.
And the way he said it had not an edge to it, but it was because you see these guys in a very sanitized format, Shane, from my perspective, right? I remember Urban, he comes in, he's polished, he's impressive. And then one day we're out of practice and I heard him chewing a guy out. And it's whoa, it was because he had a pretty booming voice or does. And it kind of shocks you. So you see like Napier is all like really smooth and professional. And then you saw a little edge with him. He was not digging the turnover chain. He's not making this about any of that. He doesn't want any of that showmanship stuff, which is fantastic, because I did think of some of the criticism of Dan Mullen's program, which of course every aspect gets trashed after a coach leaves, and I don't think it's ever fair, but he did not keep those players from, they celebrate. Trey Dean celebrated like more plays for a guy who didn't make plays than anybody I've ever seen. And I didn't see that last night, and you're not going to see it under Napier, I don't think.
No, that was my favorite part of the night. Okay, so Edgar, moving forward, just from your overall view before we let you go and get out of here, and hopefully you have a good weekend. In your opinion, I mean, it was just a small sample size last night. For this team to have a decent competitive year, what has to happen for the Florida Gators?
That's
a $1 million question, huh?
The schedule is brutal. I mean, we talked about it. They come out of the gate with Utah, Kentucky, at Tennessee through the first 4 games. They have a 3-game stretch: LSU, Georgia, Texas A&M. And then South Carolina's trending, right? And getting Spencer Rattler. I mean, that's a tough schedule, man. I think Drinkwitz is a good coach at Missouri. It's like 8 real games. So they're going to have to get some depth first off. I mean, as Napier keeps pointing out, I mean, it starts now. I mean, he needs to start building depth. When you have when you're raving about, and I mean, it's well-deserved. I mean, Dante Zanders looked really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Noah Keeter, did you coach Noah Keeter? I mean, he's a defensive end. Now he's catching 50.
I did. I coached him and coached against him, and he never played tight end until this spring. He was always a defensive end, and he looks like he's lost some weight. He ran well. He caught the ball well. Now, will he play in the fall? I'll be honest, I don't think he will. It could be just one of those where a kid has a breakout and gets some catches and score some touchdowns in a spring game. I don't think they'll line him up in a real game. I could be wrong.
Well, here's my point.
But it still is a great story.
Yeah, but my point is, it's a great story, but is it great for the program next season when a converted defensive lineman and a walk-on who played defensive end, or transfer? I mean, I'm just saying, where are the playmakers? Guys need to emerge. They just need, I don't know. I mean, you're asking the $1 million question. They need players, man. Billy says it every chance he gets. He's making a recruiting pitch that come play for us, basically, by his words, right? So they're a work in progress, man. They have 10 weeks or so till August, and just need to keep building this roster, man. And we'll just see what they have. But Anthony Richardson needs to build on last night. It was a confidence boost for him. It had to be a confidence boost for his teammates and fans. I think people left, at least feeling good there. And I think Montrell Johnson showed something. I mean, receiver-wise, man, I don't know who. I mean, Shorter looked okay. I mean, I thought Frazier's actually looked pretty good. But are these guys game changers? I mean, I don't know. Right? I don't think they are.
Time will tell.
Yeah, but that's
I'm
the
with
thing.
you. We got to find some playmakers, no question, and we got to find some stout front 4 on defense. But Edgar, hey, real quick before we let you go, let everybody know how they can read your articles and the stuff you're writing about the spring game.
Well, my Twitter account, OS Gators. You go there. There are links and everything. Hopefully, you everybody runs into the paywall, man, but we're giving you guys a lot of good content. So hopefully we get some eyeballs on what we're doing. Mark Long and I, by the way, started a podcast Monday. I'm going to pitch that, if you don't mind.
Wow.
We just started a podcast on Monday. I mean, I gave us like a 6 out of 10 on our first one. It was a little shaky, but it's going to get better.
I'm sure it will. I was horrible at the beginning and probably still horrible. I got a lot of work to do, but we appreciate you taking time, Edgar. Happy Easter, my man, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, have a great weekend, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Yep, that's Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. I hope you enjoyed today's program, folks. want to thank Edgar and JC. We'll talk more next week about the spring game, but good luck to the gymnastics team going tomorrow for a national championship. Hopefully they can bring it home. And baseball is in Vandy, in Nashville against the Vandy boys. So we'll recap all that on Monday. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Have a great weekend. Happy Easter to everyone. We'll see you on Monday.